Hello. This video that you're about to see, I made, I think, right before I was entering high school. Just as I was getting into esports, and just as I was getting into heavily into gaming and game design. So, take everything that's said here with a grain of salt, and it wasn't even finished. So, anything that didn't have a visual was just black initially, but I replaced it with um, some turtles eating food. Just some videos I found on YouTube. Um, but enjoy. I don't know if I don't think what I say is correct anymore or good. It's still good food for thought though. So here you are.
There exists a conflict within the gaming world. People aware within the industry know that there are two separate types of gaming, sport and play. Sport pertaining to more competitive natures, with a compelling allure to a player or group of players being simplified to places within a standing: winner, platinum, runner-up, top 500, loser. And play, a word relating to casual, safe, purposeless environments without stakes in relation to multiple players. This diction use is an issue due to how the variety of games, preferences, and genres can be intertwined with game design and play. For example, Super Mario World, one of the most famous video games of all time, on the surface is a lively, colorful 2D platformer where the only goal is to beat the final boss. And to a casual gamer, that's all it is, and all it may ever be. However, come different gamers, come different ways to play. There exists another community of gamers, speedrunners, players dedicated to completing games and certain tasks within them as fast as possible. They've ripped Super Mario World apart into a variety of competitive leaderboards, different paths, endings, glitch usage, credit warps, blindfolded runs. Clearly, there's more to any game than meets the eye. The reason that this confusion is important is so as not to oversimplify a space within gaming. Yes, some games are more competitive than others. Basketball will always be more competitive than Pepsi Man. But that isn't to say that there may not exist a minor sport-like quality. Talking about competitive video games means we should talk about esports. Esports are a fairly new phenomenon within the entertainment industry pertaining to a market around viewing, organizing, and playing competitive video games in a professional environment, or professional environments. I say fairly because they have been around for much longer than most people believe. The idea of esports really began around the late 1960s after the first commercial home console, the Brown Box, was released with Pong and a number of other sport game simulators. Competition had cemented itself within video game history and development as successful, and with it, the possibility for mass profit and change. The next innovation to driving competition in video games was the birth of the arcade. These entertainment markets popularized game to an extreme, and first advertised the idea of a best player with the use of high scores. I asked Ted Flax Forsyth about the earliest esports, and he gave some insight via Twitter. Arcades were the original esports, with pinball probably being the first game people played competitively in that setting. A few decades after, personal computers blew up in accessibility, alongside a brand new service, the internet. The internet gave way to online play. Games like StarCraft and the later modded Warcraft 3, Dota, were pioneers in proving that esports are a commercial interest and a competitive one at that. But what separates a game from a sport? Maybe we should start with Chris Crossford's method in his book, The Journal of Computer Game Design. He defines a game dichotomously. Here are the points put simply. 1. An object is art if made from and for artistic intent, but entertainment is made for money. The entertainment then becomes a playable thing if interacted, also known as a plaything. A plaything without goals becomes a toy. With goals, however, the plaything becomes a challenge. If the challenge has an active agent to defeat, it becomes a conflict. Otherwise, it is a puzzle. If the conflict doesn't allow interaction, particularly with another player, then it is a competition. If it allows for interaction, it is a game. According to this dichotomous key, one may wonder where certain games fit in, if we can call them games anymore. Under these conditions, The Sims and City Skylines would be considered challenges, and in the case of a similar but more goalless activity, like Planet Coaster, this can even be considered a toy. Also, single-player versus environment experiences, or PvE, like Doom, Super Mario Galaxy, and Halo's campaigns, these would all be defined here as conflicts. This definition is quite good and stems from a game designer's train of thought, yet it lacks our search for what differentiates a game from a sport. Another intriguing definition that may help comes from Difference Between, a website dedicated to acknowledging and defining comparables. They say a sport is exclusively about an individual being able to express their skill physically, mentally, and luckily, while a game is more strategic and team-based. This means that basketball, football, and baseball are all games, while golf, track, and javelin are all direct, no-nonsense sports. This definition doesn't quite sit right either. Why does society consider X a sport and Y a game or competition? Keeping these possible distinctions in the back of your head will help when trying to define what a video game actually is. So perhaps those questions are better left for the future, to be debated by philosophers and hardcore gamers alike.